My name is Douglas Bell, Webmaster87 on the forums, though for the better part of 6 years I was known as Fountain of Apples. I'll talk a little bit more about myself in a little bit, but I'm very honored. I've been looking forward to this presentation for many months. I'm very honored to be able to have the last word and talk a little bit about something that is pretty deep in my heart, getting involved in phpBB with the subtitle Team Membership Not Required. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why that's the focus here. Of course, I think that the fact that most of us are here today means that most of us are already involved in phpBB in some way. So the get involved message is a little bit more for the people who may be watching this online in a week or two or so. But I want to also try to incorporate into this presentation some final thoughts just overall about the phpBB project that hopefully will leave you walking away, heading back to wherever you came from, a little more inspired, a little more energized to go to work for phpBB. But before I start talking about myself and start going to the soapbox, I want to open this up with a little exercise that I call Take 5, in that I want to get at least 5 people to share their thoughts on this, the central question of my presentation. Why are you here? Why did you give up a day or 2 or 3 of your own personal life to come here to the middle of Times Square to this phpBB conference? I want at least 5 volunteers. Josh, and I'll just repeat it from here.
It's a good way to actually be able to get phpBB work done.
Good way to get phpBB work done, okay. Anyone else? Yeah.
Mike,
Mike.
I was involved with phpBB back in 01 and 02. I left the community around 02 with all the 2.0 stuff that was going on. And I've been developing with Symphony since 05, and I was super excited to hear that we were going to be built on Symphony, and I want to get re-involved.
So just to reiterate, he was part of the community very early on, became more involved with Symphony, but now wants to get reacquainted now that we're going to Symphony. Getting reacquainted with the community. Anyone else? I need at least 3 more. I'm not budging and you're not going anywhere until I get 3 more. Sam.
I was interested in meeting the people that I am in contact with on a daily basis but never actually see.
That's for me too. Getting to meet the people we're getting in touch with that I'm actually seeing in real life. Sticker Boy.
I'll pick you up and pick you up.
Okay. Which involves socializing, right? There's some good in that. I want at least 1 more. And anyone else after that is welcome. Come on, this is a community. Don't make me say yes. Yuri.
I personally came here to watch this presentation.
Don't patronize me. Okay, so that's, well, unless anyone else wants to share any thoughts on why you are here. That's exactly where I'm going to, because that's, for starters, I want to, this pretty much this whole presentation, why am I here? So I'm just going to start. I know this is boring. Hopefully some of you may already have heard this, but I just want to say just a little bit about how I got to where I am here today. January 2004, this is when I Google images all these. This is when I first got this idea, hey, websites are cool. I should make one. I should learn HTML. Yeah, cool stuff, you know. Tags, markup, hypertext, woo! And that's where I got started, and I started finding a couple of groups to do websites with, so I self-taught. Then in June 2004, you guys remember this logo? I love this logo. I love the hut. I'm sorry, the mod little guy will never replace the hut for me. I stumbled upon phpBB. I had some friends that were managing support forums, and I looked in this little footer, powered by phpBB. This is why you should always keep that message in the footer, because people will find that, like me, and start trying to find out what it was about. So I installed a site. I thought I'd make a Mac fan site. I called it Fountain of Apples. I went on phpBBhacks.com. I downloaded 12 hacks and installed them all at once without even knowing how to install one. Consequently, that was the end of that site because I could not figure out how to fix all the fatal errors. And that is when I registered on .com and got that infamous username. So yeah, my username until a few months ago was my biggest failure ever. Woo! But from there, I did keep going with phpBB, trying it out. I had free time. I was having fun. After a little while, I had, a little necessity. I was setting up a site which had a little bit of a portal. And as such, in Subsilver, there was not a dedicated link for the forum index because the portal mod I used, I don't remember what it was, changed the little logo to go to the home of the portal. Well, how do you get to the forum index? So I went and figured out how to do that. It actually involved editing 3 files because there was no language item for forum index, so I had to add that. And so that was my first mod, add forum index link to overall header, which is still there if you want to download it. You know, hey, it's where it got started, but you know, it was a contribution, and eventually I got a little more involved. This was actually my first good mod, a well-known mod called Advanced Version Check, inspired by when phpBB finally added a version checker, and I decided, why can't we do this for mods too? And so I got started on that, and that actually was pretty successful while it lasted. And after doing more mods and stuff, I got invited to the mod team. This was back before the purple one down there. We had the little blue one up there, but they had a vacancy. I applied, and so they let me be a validator on the mod team for 9 months. At which point, for a number of reasons, one, I was a freshman in high school, very young, so you know, some things on the team's a little different. I got very busy, you know, getting a more busy high school lifestyle, and you know, I just kind of wanted to move on a little bit. So I said bon voyage for a little bit, but didn't go very far, because I was also doing another hobby, podcasting, and I thought, why not take this on to phpBB? This actually started as an experiment. You guys remember? Those of you guys who have listened to the podcast, do you remember TalkShoe? Do you want to remember TalkShoe? That was but that was new and hip at the time, so I started it. That's kind of where the show came along, and eventually it actually started picking up steam. Ironically, my very first listeners were the phpBB teams. Even though I was trying to do this as I don't think they want to listen to it, they wanted to make sure I didn't spill any beans. So they listened to it and started to get interested in it, and that's continued since then. Let's fast forward. This was kind of another big venture I was able to take a part of. After London Invasion, the teams opened an events and meetings forum, and I wanted to get an event to take place. I was a little jealous that I didn't get to go to London because it was far and it was expensive. So I started getting a meetup happening in the Bay Area, and we were able to coincide it with the first OSCON. We did another one this past year. It was quite a bit bigger. But it's a great example of, again, I'm not part of the teams, but able to really do a lot to contribute to phpBB, get an event going. And now here I am today. I'm a speaker getting to present about getting involved with phpBB. Even though I'm not part of the teams, I can still definitely say that I've gotten very much involved. But there's a lot of reasons why I don't really deserve to be here, quite frankly. I haven't run a forum in 5 years. I gave up. I said it takes too much time that I don't have. I'm having more fun writing mods for the software than using it. But then I stopped writing mods because I got too busy to manage those 4 years ago. I've never actually used phpBB 3. It took David a while, my co-host, to get me unlearning phpBB 2. I finally have, but I've never actually used this in any seriousness. I've installed it just for fun once or twice. My own podcast, the main reason I'm here, I'm leaving in 10 days, again, to find some other avenues. And by the way, I'm very excited to announce on Tuesday that Sam Thompson, Phil Crum will be taking it on, making it more of a semi-official venture with the teams, but again, trying to focus on the community. I wish them well. I'm very excited to see that it will be continuing because it still has a nice following. But David and I are getting kind of tired, and we need new ideas. It needs a breath of fresh air. So I'm going to be doing a lot less with the community in about 10 days, not leaving entirely, just because I'm busy. My gosh, you want to talk about blasphemy? I'm starting to use WordPress more. I just released a WordPress plugin a few weeks ago, which is not as much fun as releasing a phpBB mod, but oh well. I'm so nervous. I want someone to validate my WordPress code. I love having the mod database there. And those of you who know this long-running joke, I forgot to bring any deep fried pickle hearts, so you guys should run me out of town right now. But really the reason that I still have my heart for phpBB is because of this. phpBB really epitomizes what open source really should mean in almost every sense of the word. Well, why? The source code is completely open. It is completely GPL. You don't have to do an open source part of an overall system. Everything is completely open. It is free as in speech and as in beer. If you know that old saying. In fact, I went into the archives. I remember this post from about 7 years ago. the phpBB's new pricing structure. We are pleased to announce a new pricing structure for phpBB. Please see the following for more details. And in fact, the post after this was by Paul Owen, the former development team member. The post right after this was added by James Atkinson, the phpBB founder. He said, "Download now and you'll get Sub Silver, a $95 value absolutely free." I hope the value has gone up a little bit since then. I miss Sub Silver. Anyway, where were we? The developers and team members are true volunteers. That's something I can't even say is true for the WordPress community, which I like to compare to a lot. A lot of their developers are volunteers, but they still have a company that is very much behind a good portion of the project. That makes a lot of money. That Yuri alluded to earlier will charge corporations $100,000 for premium support. phpBB has none of that. Everyone is a volunteer, and I love that. And we have an incredibly active worldwide community. Yes, it is not as big as some of these other projects, but it's very connected, it's very concentrated, and it really has a true sense of being, including supporters, contributors, and customization authors. As has been alluded, we are in the United States, and so I am using the Z or Z, but I prefer Z, so live with it. So that really is, I think, where phpBB comes from. And we can feel it in this room if you've been here the last day or two. phpBB not only creates communities, phpBB is the community. So how can you get more involved and really help to keep that community going? Well, this is what I see as the life cycle of the phpBB contributor. This kind of follows what I just showed in my past, and I think pretty much everyone can say they've lived a version of this. You first discover phpBB. There's this new website with all these big buttons. Ooh, look, what is phpBB? Get started, enhance it, contribute to it. You know, you find it's out. Oh, I want to try this. I quite frankly, you know, when Colin was just saying, you do have to kind of have a reason to have a forum in the first place. But chances are, if you're starting a forum, you kind of would like to give it a try and see what it's all about if you're brand new. And you will inevitably say this: oh, darn, I need help. Have any of you guys ever gone back and looked at what your very first post on .com was? This is mine. Help. I don't know how to do change mod. I need the Flash tutorial said I need to change it from config to 644 to 666. I'm using, this is, you know, help, what do I do, blah, blah, blah. I eventually found something. I'm sure most of us probably will look at our old post and want to do this to it. That's what I want to do. Mine's not as bad as some people's, though. I've seen some of your first posts, okay. But then, I think eventually, you know, we will find some way of giving back to the community. Again, this was mine. Add forum index link to overall header. Yeah, I gave a lot back, but there were actually some people that used it. I actually had about 5 people reply asking for support on this. It was in the days of the text template. So really, phpBB is very much like a take a penny, leave a penny type of situation. There are people who will get help from the community, and eventually, hopefully, if you want to really help make the community keep going, giving back to the community and help someone else who's going to be getting help from you to really keep it going. Or since we're on the internet, if the take a penny, leave a penny thing is too archaic for you, we can go with this. I had to throw in a lolcat in there somewhere.